Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NBA center Ryan Hollins.
Couple pump fakes, leans in, shot blocked by Ryan Hollins. Hollins sent that into the third row.
6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Hollins climbs the stairs.
Down the floor. Ryan Hollins! He is the high jumper!
That's what I want to see. Give me some gunpowder and throw the hammer down.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Rick Bucher. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report. Find me on Twitter at Rick Bucher. He is Ryan Hollins. You can find him on Twitter at the Ryan Hollins. You can see him on ESPN. You can hear him on NBA radio. You can see and hear him on the Clippers broadcasts. And you can find him on Instagram simply at Ryan Hollins. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. All right. Got all the bells and whistles covered. A couple of things I want to get into here. There's been some hot topics, Ryan, since you and I have convened here on the podcast. Some things that have gone down. And I want to start with the Draymond Green and Steve Kerr and the clip of Steve Kerr saying, "I am so tired of Draymond Green's blankety blank." I'm sure you've been in situations where a coach has been caught out saying or doing something, stink face. First of all, I just wonder as a player, are there people that circle back and say to you, "Hey, did you see, did you hear?" How does word of things like this that happen on a broadcast or a telecast or whatever get back to the players?
I mean, for the most part, you got to think like Steve Kerr, obviously he appears to be this nice little sweet, quiet guy. And I'm not saying that he's not a sweet guy, but I mean, Steve Kerr's no pushover. So, no. He's going to coach his players as necessary. You know what I mean, Rick? Mm-hmm. So how do I put this? There's certain language used in basketball. Mm-hmm. And Draymond is not exempt from hearing that from his coach, especially not Steve Kerr. Right. I don't know if you caught the game tonight, but, I'm sure they on accident, Boogie was frustrated over a foul or non-foul call, and Draymond had some expletives in which we've heard enough of. He said, quit worrying about it. Just quit. But, in other words, so, that goes on, and obviously you don't want it to be seen, but, you got people reading lips and going far out, but there's nothing to drive into. That's just a locker room language behind the scenes. It's not a deal.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just wonder, has Draymond ever heard directly from Steve Kerr, "I'm tired of your blankety blank"?
Of course.
He has.
Of course.
Yes. Okay.
Of course, there's things that Steve Kerr, look, man, Steve Kerr is the coach of the Warriors, so he's driving those guys to be better. And, if they don't box out, they don't rebound, they miss assignments, there's a list of things where those guys can do better. Right. Why is everybody surprised? Nobody said anything when he got on Jordan Bell. He was quite adamant with Jordan Bell this year. They had a nice little altercation. Now the meaning would be, well, Jordan Bell, you're just off the team. You're off the team. You're not going to play anymore. Right. But Steve Kerr is actually a basketball coach. People have to realize.
Sure. Well, but it's one thing if he's never because we've never seen him confront Draymond. So the question would be, is he saying that, if he's saying it under his breath and he's never expressed that to Draymond, then it's a different thing. It's like, oh, he got caught out. This is what he really thinks about some of Draymond's behavior. If it's something that Draymond has already heard directly from him, then it's not to me, it's not that big of a deal. But I think in most people's minds, they don't know that conversations like that go on in practice. They don't know that there's times where Steve Kerr is going to call out whether it's Draymond or Steph or like, "Steph, stop jacking the early three," right? I mean, I would guess that at some point Steve Kerr has come down on Steph on his shot selection, and it's a little harsher than people are perhaps understand. That
the other night the Warriors lost, and I think it was arguably the worst shooting night in the Splash Brothers in their history of being together. They missed something like 20 some odd 3-pointers.
They've had a couple every now and then. They have one of those. Over the years.
And nonetheless, you saw tonight, you saw the way they played. Mm-hmm. Obviously, KD's not in the picture, but they pounded that ball into the post. And then the three-pointers came. Then they knocked down shots. But there was a big effort to say, guys, chill out on the three-pointers, okay? Just relax a little bit.
How much of what we saw is an indication of what they can do against Houston in the postseason? This is where DeMarcus Cousins ends up being a big factor and maybe even a game changer against the Rockets.
Well, the big question with Boogie would be, and we've talked about this several times, Rick. How is he going to defend pick and roll? How is he going to move his feet? What's he going to look like? It hasn't been perfect, but he's been a lot better than we thought. In the playoffs, I do think it's going to be an issue. Mm. But on the other end, he annihilated Clint Capella. He did. Clint Capella is the ultimate defender. He just one-on-one went right at Clint, and that's really the heart and soul of their defense. It got so bad they had to throw P.J. Tucker on him, and Boogie ends up pushing off and getting the offensive foul. But, Houston really abuses the fact they kind of play the trends and they play the rules that, if you don't want to post up, we won't even put a center on the floor, or we'll just switch everything. Beat us. Karl Anthony Towns couldn't do it. There are a couple of guys that had a number of teams that can't beat it, but outside of Joel Embiid, I mean, Rick, can you name someone better to beat a switching defense?
Than DeMarcus Cousins and being able to play in the post?
Outside of Joel Embiid and Cousins, is there anybody I'm missing right now? Among
the teams that matter, obviously Marc Gasol.
Just thinking of him.
Al Horford.
Yes and no. I mean, you don't fear it, but he'll beat you. He'll make the smart play.
Blake.
Give you Blake, and they beat Houston. You're naming teams that had success with Houston. Think about that.
What's your take on Gobert? I only bring this up because we're looking at centers, and Rudy Gobert from the Jazz has made the case that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, that he's an all-star, and people talk about he's not just a defender, he's an offensive threat, and I'm a little slow to say he's anywhere close to being a factor offensively as he is defensively. I don't think he can handle. I think there's ways to kind of throw him off. He's not his roll to the basket. I mean, he's got tremendous size, but it's a little bit inconsistent. I might be hypercritical here, but I wonder, what's your view of his skill set when it comes to the offense?
Rudy can hoop, man. I watched this young guy develop, from just my time of being in the league. Rick, as we both know, ultimately, you can switch. He's a guy that they'll switch, and he's not just pounding the ball in the paint or getting big at the rim. He's not going to necessarily murder you in those situations.
Yeah.
That doesn't wow me. And as far as him being an all-star, he's not the best player on his team.
Yeah.
He's not the best player. If I have to take one of the Utah Jazz, it's Donovan Mitchell. So, I was tired of hearing that, all-star snub. Donovan Mitchell had to be like, yo, bro, are you serious?
Yeah.
Bro, are you serious?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Speaking of which, we neglected Nikola Jokic as far as switching.
Yes, he's smart enough. He doesn't want me like Boogie, but he'll give you something. He'll give you something down there.
I understand your hesitation because that's what bothers me a little bit with Jokic. Is Jokic kind of likes to post, but he's looking to pass all the time. Even when he's got a matchup where I'm thinking, just put him under the rim. Go hard and finish. He doesn't do that instantly. He's got a little Pau Gasol in him, in that he wants to post up, he wants to get deep, but he kind of wants to get deep to make the play rather than take the shot.
Honestly, this year has been a focus where he's gotten in the paint a lot more. And
Jokic.
Jokic makes
I
the
agree.
correction. He's, in my mind, honestly, when I watch him, he's like a baby Mark. Mark plays the same way. It's that Euro style. He makes the correct play every time. And the one thing, he will catch and be very patient. I like what he's done against double teams. I like what he's done against doubles, honestly.
Yeah, again, it's a matter of degrees. Everybody's making Jokic out to be one of the best, like an MVP, right? And the one element that he's missing is he going to be your go-to guy at the end of games? I have never seen him perform in that role and get it. And like Embiid, I'm more comfortable with putting Embiid in that role because I feel like Embiid doesn't hesitate. You need me to go get a bucket when things are on the line? I'm more than happy to try to make something happen and take that shot. Jokic doesn't show me the same aggression that Embiid does.
No, I hear you with that. But the thing, he has gotten better. But I'm just, I'm not. That's why I'm not, really fond of the Nuggets. I'm not big on the Nuggets. I'm sorry. You can say that I'm sleeping on them.
I'm with you.
Whatever you want to put. I'm just not huge on the Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Speaking of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz, one of the other big incidents was Russ Westbrook getting into it with a fan. Everybody first put out there what Russ Westbrook said, and that was caught about, I'm going to F you up, and I'm going to, and your wife, and how can you talk to a fan like that? And I went on Fox Sports Radio that night and said, hey, look, I'm not excusing in any way what Russ said. You got to find a way to be above it. But I will tell you that from my experience, and I've taken a lot of heat from Utah Jazz fans for saying it, they are the worst fans in the league by far as what they say to players, what they think. Now, sometimes they can be very clever and creative, and I've laughed at some of the stuff they've done, but some of their stuff is completely out of bounds. And I thought when we heard the other side to Russ's thing, what that was said, make no mistake, to me, that was over the line.
Rick, first off, you're a man first. Secondly, I want to say I completely agree with you. I do not condone the language that came out. We are a kid and women-friendly league, but as a guy who's played against the Jazz, played in Utah, they're just racial undertones that still exist there that never should. Mm-hmm. And I'm not speaking to the whole fan base, and I love what Donovan Mitchell has stepped up and said, and it's been that way for a long time. So you just happen to see this incident. You just happen to see what was said in the tone of it as it was expressed towards Russell Westbrook or from Russell Westbrook. But this is very common. You just didn't catch it on the camera phone. You didn't catch it, in person. This has been a problem in Utah. And Rick, you've also noticed that a number of players are speaking out going, yo, there's a line. Because the frustration from players is that there are a number of fans that somehow they believed their financial status, the ticket or season ticket that they bought, not only did they buy access to the game, they bought a player too. And hear that they literally think they bought a player. And Rick, that ain't cool, bro.
Yeah.
That ain't cool.
The sense that I've always gotten from Jazz fans is that they believe that they're allowed to create a hostile environment and that is their job and by any means necessary. And that's to me where they go wrong. You can't, I'm all for you for cheering. I'm all for you for booing. I'm all for you heckling. But you can't do it in a racist way. You can't do it in ways that are just uncivil. You know what's funny is I responded the way I did on Fox Sports Radio, and that got out there, and I get from Jazz fans, bleep you. And all the nasty things where you just go, you're just proving my point, dude. Because the other side of it is they'll say, hey, don't portray us, for a couple, and you're saying we're worse than this, da-da-da-da-da. There are all these excuses. And the bottom line is, and I love the fact that the Utah Jazz players, not just Donovan Mitchell, a number of guys spoke out. And because that's a tough thing to do, right? These are your fans. This is your home arena. This is where you live, at least during the season. For them to defend Russ tells you everything you know about how legit the issue that Russ raised is. That it is, Jazz fans, be better. Because you are, just know this, you are the worst. And you are over the line. And there's nothing that you can say that is going to justify what some of you do. And here's the thing. It may only be some of you. It's not everybody in Salt Lake City. But the fact is, you're condoning it when somebody says something like that and you're not taking up for it. You're not telling that person, hey, dude, that's not cool. You can't do that. If you're staying silent, then you are supporting what that guy is doing. That's the way it works. And I've heard plenty from the stands, and I've never seen a fan take it up with another fan and say, hey, that ain't right. Or call security and say, this dude's out of line. Haven't seen it happen.
Yeah, and you know what? And I don't want to, put this on all Jazz fans, but there's a difference, Rick. There's a clear, distinct difference between cheering for your team, being passionate, and really thinking you have a problem with the other player. And there's something about Russell Westbrook that drives me nuts in the sense that people see him and they see the way he competes and they see the way that he plays. And fan is short for fanatic, but they look at him like, man, I can raise up on this guy. I can get in his face. I can say something to him. I can do something to him. Whoa, bruh. Pump your brakes. And that's the huge problem, Rick, that I really, really ultimately see, especially when it comes to a Russell Westbrook. That drives me crazy. Like, when did you get the green light in your mind? Think about Philly. The guy was flipping off Russ. I forget what the other location was. There's a fan that actually chest bumps him, like makes physical contact.
Yeah.
If Russell Westbrook sits that dude on his wallet, Russell's career may not be the same.
See,
and I'm glad that the NBA's jumped in to take steps for this. But like seriously, like enough is enough.
I believe that it's because they see the passion with which Russ plays, and they believe that they can get him to react, that they can get him to do something that's going to get him out of the game. That's what inspires it. And because Russ will respond. If you're ignoring the dude, then it eventually, and in the case of Jazz fans, it doesn't necessarily, but with a lot of people, if you don't acknowledge it and just continue on, they eventually stop. But Russ will engage. And so then it becomes a back and forth, and then it becomes ultimately a battle. Again, this is the other part too, is what the guy said did have, people were saying, what was racist about that? Put yourself in Russ's shoes. If you're capable of putting yourself in the shoes of a person of color and what that reference is, or what that statement is, get down on your knees like you're used to.
Look, man, whether that's racist or not, I don't give a darn.
Yeah, right.
Like, you could be white and another white guy says to another, hey, Rick, get down on your knees like you're used to. Hold up, bruh. Hold up. I still want to know what Marquise Chris said to Serge Ibaka. Hold up. What?
So, did you play against Serge?
Yeah, I played against Serge.
Okay, Serge gets into it with a lot of guys, and a lot of guys have beef with Serge. What is it about him that inspires that?
My understanding, man, and I talked to some people who, were with Serge behind the scenes, is like the dude has a short fuse, man. Like he likes to mix it up, bro. Like he likes to fight. It's not like pretend. And you see Serge playing against Marquise Chris, that's a recipe for disaster, because Marquise has just been rubbing everybody wrong in the league, bro. He's been rubbing everybody wrong. So that was just
that was Tinder.
I was waiting to come.
I meant Tinder, not the app. I meant Tinder, like as the starting elements for a fire. Just clarify that for our millennials.
Rick, I didn't know where you're going with that.
Yeah, no, you probably thought Tinder. What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I figure you're too old to be doing any type of Tinder stuff. I don't even know what Tinder is, Rick.
I am so glad that Tinder was not around when I was single.
Oh, bro. Oh, man.
Yeah, it would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster. All right, two other things. One, Draymond Green signing with the Clutch Agency, signing with Rich Paul. And I ask you because when I talk to people around the league, whether it's other agents or it's GMs or owners, I've had this conversation with owners. They are all hypercritical, almost dismissive of Rich Paul and the way he operates. Feels a little amateurish at times. It feels as if he's out of his depth. Or let's say it's not the kind of way that I know most player agents to operate. And maybe that's part of the attraction. Nonetheless, he's got a pretty good clientele base beyond LeBron, and he keeps adding guys. How do you explain that? What do you make of it?
Behind the scenes, between agent, between GM, between owner, there's this good old boys club, and there's relationships that have existed. They've existed, Rick, for a while. And there's just a certain way that things were done. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the agents have relationships with teams in which they don't want to mess up for a player. Rich Paul and LeBron are, and I don't want to say and LeBron.
But you did.
I'll say through LeBron. I'll say through LeBron.
Okay.
Because that's real. Through LeBron are creating scenarios where players do what they want. And I'll say that because LeBron started off that I don't want to play here anymore. I'm going to move on. Where another agent might say, hey, no, LeBron, let's not mess up our relationships and our money. And I'm getting my guys on your team, and I got a good relationship. Because when you call for the second and third client to a team, per se, like a Miami Heat, they're going to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They're going to pick up the phone because you have their number one guy who they want to sign and they want to keep happy. So Rich Paul speaks for the players. And if he wants something, he goes to get it. If a guy wants to move, a guy wants more money, they're very vocal. They're very aggressive, very player-friendly in their approach. So now the rules that used to go, well, you just kind of do as you're told. We'll sign you. We'll keep you here. We'll keep everything at peace, and we'll keep the relationship intact. Rich is like, nah, bro, I'm going to fight for my guys. I'm going to go on for my guys. And that's a whole lot, Rick, of what you're seeing.
Well, what's interesting is he was with the Wasserman Media Group, and he was with B.J. Armstrong. And I've known B.J. to be the same way. Like, B.J. looks the part of the guy who's wearing the suit and clean cut and all that, but B.J.'s not afraid to get down and dirty. B.J.'s not afraid to speak up for... He's not... I don't know that he has those relationships. He's not part of the, from what I know, part of the old boy network. That was Arn Tellem, who used to run Wasserman.
Well, hear this, though. What do you feel about this, though? Draymond's now getting into a situation. I'm not saying that BJ didn't have to do this before. Well, he's going to get his hands dirty. He's got a little predicament coming up in Golden State, whether he's going to be there, whether he's going to stay, whether he's going to get paid. There's some problems going ahead. And I'm not saying that BJ's not the guy or he hadn't gotten his hands dirty before, but this is a different predicament for Draymond that could really influence the rest of his career. I mean, forget his career, his life right here. And I'll share this with you. There's a big deal between Wasserman and Rich Paul in the way that Anthony Davis was handled. And he went over and he left.
Yes.
There was a big difference. And I'm not going to name any sources, any names, but their big thing was like, AD, we're going to get you moved, but we're not going to get you moved when you want to be moved.
That was Wasserman's approach.
Wasserman. They don't want to mess up the relationship.
Thad Fouché was the
right?
agent of record there.
There's certain things in which how you handle it. And apparently AD wanted to happen now. AD wanted it inside track. And things got ugly. Mm-hmm. And I want to say at the end of the day, everybody took a hit. The Pelicans lost.
Everybody lost.
The Lakers lost.
The players
Anthony
lost.
Davis, the players lost. And in a lot of regards, Rick, I don't know if we mentioned this, the Boston Celtics lost.
Yeah, potentially.
That put a ripple in their locker room saying, oh, hold up, guys. We got the best offer for AD. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the Boston Celtics, their locker room being fractured. Yeah. Not because of Kyrie, because of Danny Ainge opened his mouth talking about how adamant he was going to be for Anthony Davis, because somebody got to go.
Speaking of trades and trade value and LeBron and Clutch and all that, I'm working on a piece that should be coming out sometime before the end of the week on LeBron's trade value. Because Jeff Van Gundy's the one who first kind of raised it. I'd already been working on this story because I had heard that going all the way back to the trade deadline, when things got really ugly with Clutch, there was a moment where the Lakers and Jeannie Buss considered trading LeBron. It was like, let's just get Clutch out of our house. And ultimately they didn't make any calls. But that's when I started. I was really curious. I was like, what's LeBron's value right now? Ultimately, I don't think they can or they would, but this year has done some damage to his standing. Like, not every team in the league is looking to make a play for LeBron James. Even a year ago, probably any team, if LeBron said, I want to come play for you, I don't know that there's a team in the league that would have said no. But there is now.
You name the top 5 players in the league, and then after that, everybody's gone. Where it used to not be the top 5 players in the league. You go Harden, you go KD, you go Steph.
Embiid?
Paul
George?
Nah.
Paul George?
Nah. I'll say 4. The 4 I just named.
Okay. Giannis. You throw Giannis in there.
Heck yeah, we're going Giannis.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, thank you for that, Rick. Outside of those top 5 players in the league, everybody's gone for LeBron. And you are right. He's trending downwards in the terms of just saying that. Because before, you want Steph? Oh, you want Steph and Clay? Got him. Those days have changed.
Well, but there are teams like the combination of his injury and missing 18 games with the groin, being 34, And a lot of people read what he did with LA this year as he's not committed to the same level that he was. Now, whether that's a reflection of the injury, whether they're misreading it, I mean, I literally had an owner say, from where we are right now, it wouldn't make sense for us to gut our team to get LeBron. That's an owner. Like, GMs are always a little hinky because they know they're inviting Clutch into the cat and into the hen house. But I almost said cat house, bird house.
Wow, Rick. Wow.
I'm just going across
That
the farm.
That happened.
Ow. All right. So, but that to me is a dramatic change. I even had I had another owner who said, he goes, I wouldn't back up the truck. He goes, a protected first and a young player. I mean, it really, I was shocked. And maybe they're just saying that, but there is a feeling like, what am I getting? If I get LeBron, what am I getting? Even the GMs that I talk to, it's not like you have to have a team around him for him to get to the finals now, especially if you're in the West. You can't, it's not just LeBron and 4 guys, which previously I think most people thought. As long as you had LeBron, you always had a chance.
I don't agree. There's 2 layers to that I'll throw out. The first layer is, you can put out 4 guys in LeBron and get to the finals, but those 4 guys have to play their role. See, the Lakers had enough. Let's not mistake. They had enough, Rick, but they didn't have guys that played their role. And you can see the frustration.
Well, then they didn't have enough. Then they didn't have enough.
No, they had enough.
You think
bro.
the talent? You think it was enough talent there that if guys had just accepted their roles, they could have got it done.
Unanimously, by far. Unanimously, Rick. Unanimously. But if you don't play your role, you see the importance there.
But here's the tricky part. I'm not disagreeing with you, but with those guys being as young as they are, and we're talking about where they need to go and the roles they need to play, the discipline that they need to have, I'm not convinced that they were capable of that. You know what I mean? The requisite physical ability is there. Was the requisite mental ability and understanding of the game and how I need to operate, was that there? If it's a veteran player, I get it. If it's a young player, like Iman Shumpert comes in and he does it for whatever reason, he doesn't play his role. I'm like, or even Rondo doesn't play his role. I'm like, okay, you know what? He should know better. He should understand how this works. That Josh Hart or Kyle Kuzma or Lonzo Ball didn't play their role, the exact role they needed to play. I still have the question of, are they capable in the big picture of doing that? You think they are?
Yeah, of course, man. There's no order behind the scenes, bro. Young fellas need order. They thrive on order and consistency, and that's what LA didn't have. Whether it be the front office, whether it be the coaching staff, whatever it may be.
LeBron can't bring that.
This is what they got to chill on. When does LeBron coach the team?
Well, a lot of people would say in Cleveland every time he was there.
That's the gift and the curse, okay? Yes. And when you don't have you've never had a Hall of Fame coach who's coached you, that's the gift and the curse. That's just what's going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's what it's going to be. No, LeBron doesn't coach. He doesn't sub guys in or sub them out. That's not on him. There's only so much he can do. And if he goes out and just disregards the coach, he's in a lose-lose, Rick.
LeBron has always operated in a passive-aggressive way. So does he coach the team? No. Does he fully support what the coach is doing at any given time when he doesn't buy in, doesn't believe? And I'm not even saying that necessarily it's wrong, but the instance that a coach shows or indicates that he's trying to do something that LeBron doesn't agree with, LeBron's not one to, or is one to step off, is to say, yeah, okay, I'll do what you're asking me to do, but not doing it with the level of enthusiasm or effort that may be necessary to actually make it work.
Ricky averaged a poor man's triple-double. What more do you expect?
Dude, look, his numbers are always going to be good. The ball's always in his hands.
Whoa. How do you disregard?
I'm not disregarding.
Do not doubt.
This is how. If I'm not mistaken, in all the games that he played, they were 500. Okay, so you can put up a poor man's triple-double. He's always put up numbers, and we said this about Kevin Love in Minnesota. At least I did. I was never one of those who vaulted him into the top 10 players in the league because of his numbers. Because they weren't, and you and I said this before, because they weren't winning numbers. This year, LeBron's numbers weren't winning numbers. And I discount them when they are.
You're just absurd, bro.
I'm not
respond
absurd.
to this nonsense
You
from
have agreed with me on this point.
No, I did not agree with you on saying LeBron does not play winning basketball or have winning numbers.
He didn't.
No, I do
this
not.
This year he didn't. This year he hasn't. This year he has not.
Yeah, but you saying the way he plays is not winning basketball. I don't agree with that. I won't put that on him, and I got no problem putting something on him or anybody, Pauls, that's deserved.
I didn't say that the way he plays is not winning basketball. You made a big deal about his numbers, and I said I don't care about the numbers. And you suddenly took exception. You're like, whoa, how can you not care about the numbers? And I explained the reason I don't care about the numbers this year is because they aren't winning numbers. I've seen him with winning numbers. I'll even go, the fact that the dude can't hit free throws with the game on the line right now has been a crushing element to the Lakers in general and him in particular this season. And that's not winning basketball. When you're the guy with the ball in your hands, when you're the guy who can get any shot at the end of a game and you can't make free throws, that's a problem. That's not winning basketball. You know that's not winning basketball.
I have nothing to say to you. You're full of it tonight.
No,
I don't know.
No,
I don't
you
know
don't
what's wrong
have a
with you.
counter to that.
No,
you know
I
that's
don't
true.
even want to go down this road with you.
We
You're
went
absurd right now.
down the road. You're in the passenger seat. You don't have a choice. What, are you going to jump out of the car?
That may be the worst thing I ever heard you say.
7-footer rolling into the ditch.
That may be the wildest thing. You are so LeBron negative, right?
As of right now?
Gosh.
No. Look, first of all, the conversation simply started with, I talked to people around the league. I was curious what the value of LeBron is to the rest of the league.
You get wild and say he doesn't play winning baskall.
This year he has not played winning basketball.
Look, man, you know what really got skated by?
The Lakers are 31 and 36.
No. Let's call it for what it is. Everybody just dogged the Cavaliers roster. Dogged it. Just trashed it. And the reality was, they had guys that played their role. They may have not been the most talented, but they are constructed to fit around LeBron and complement and help him be the best that he can be.
Right.
He no longer had that in LA, and the idea that was a upgrade in talent would be enough for LeBron, and he'd get you there. The disrespect was you forgot those are pros over in that locker room, and they have earned their weight. They've earned their keep, those guys in Cleveland. And that's where the scrutiny comes from. It's a disrespect for what those guys did in Cleveland, whether it be Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, Korver, those guys. That's your problem right now, Rick.
Here's the distinction when it comes to the Lakers and where we place the blame for this Lakers season and how much we give or we don't give to LeBron. Was the roster structured to make the most out of LeBron? No. We knew that from the very beginning of the year. You need shooters, you need high IQ players, you need veterans. You need guys who can play off of him and around him. They didn't have that. Okay? In spite of that, they were still successful. The young guys were coming along and they were learning. Then you have the whole trade thing, kicked it sideways. LeBron gets hurt, misses 18 games. Rondo gets hurt. They were a fragile bunch. They needed to have everything go their way to maintain that 2014 early run. But if I look at everything that LeBron has done this season, do I say that he's done things and said things that were counterproductive, that were negative, whether it was on the court or off the court? Yes, he has. That's not conjecture. That's not me picking nits. That is a fact. There are a bunch of things he did this year that were counterproductive for the Lakers, where it was missing free throws or it's criticizing the guys when he's not playing well. You guys, if you're not about it, you shouldn't be with this franchise when you're walking in drinking wine. Like, there were a bunch of things that he did that contributed to the problems that the Lakers had. So what percentage you want to give him, you and I can go back and forth all day on that. I'm not going to debate that. That he had a hand in this being a disappointing season, you can't tell me that is not true. That LeBron James is above and beyond any blame for what happened to the Lakers this year.
No, man, you're always going to point at the best player. You're always going to do that. But last I checked, his track record was always proven. And when guys played their role around him, there's a lot of success to be had. And I don't know how you fix your lips right now to even question that. I'm just saying it's cool, Rick. It's cool. Do what you got to do. But you're on one tonight. You're on one. You are on one.
All right. And that we're going to leave it.
That's like when I screw up the podcast and I'm like, oh, man, Rick doesn't know how to run Bucher and Friends. No, Rick has been doing good radio for a long time. It's the other guy messing stuff up.
You know what? It doesn't mean that I'm above screwing it up. I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna conclude this episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. We're going to leave it here because in our next podcast, presuming that what we are seeing is the beginning of the end of LeBron James. And
yeah, you better leave those comments on this podcast. That's what you better be leaving.
You and I can debate whether that is indeed what we're seeing, that we're seeing the beginning of the end. But we're going to anticipate that it is. And then the question is, who becomes the face of the NBA if LeBron falls off? And who's going to rise? Like, LeBron's not going to be part of this postseason. Who then has the opportunity to step to center stage? Or is there anybody? That is going to be one of the subjects that we will hit in the next podcast. Remember, if you are enjoying the show, or even if you're not, just if you're a listener, drop us a rating, review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and then if you want us to do something for you, screenshot that review, whatever it might be, and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, and you'll be eligible to win some prizes from Ryan, Will Blackman, or myself. All right, that does it for this edition. We'll also give you our picks, as usual, for the Friday night games against the spread and the over-under. Ryan now has to go take a shower and cool off, so we're going to let him do that, and he'll be fresh as a daisy for our next battle here on the podcast. In the meantime, thanks for listening.